Good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. I am Tim, back once again for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Italian Grand Prix. And with me is my co-commentator, someone new in the box today, Tom. How are you doing today?
Very good, mate. Very good. Obviously took over you in the main comms booth, but how'd the turntables?
Yeah, pretty much. There have been times to where you have substituted for me today. You are substituting for Mansell. I kind of requested for you to physically become Mansell for the next 2 hours, but sadly it just does not work that way. Which, don't get me wrong, being Tom is cool and everything, but Mansell, like I mentioned, has access to the GP2 drivers chat, so we get a nice little inside view of all the spicy drama. So Mansell has his own GP2 perks.
Yeah, he does. It's a bit annoying because, mind you, we could probably make a massive Netflix-orientated documentary out of it, but anyway.
Oh, Netflix. I just canceled them today.
Oh, fair play.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to be paying for ads.
Don't blame you. I don't blame you whatsoever. But anyway, want to get to the standings?
Yeah, exactly right. We do need to get to the standings as soon as I grab my phone, which that thud that you just heard was me dropping it. So you got to give me just a quick minute. Yeah, exactly. So that's just exactly how this one is going today. But just waiting for the first driver to blink. It looks like it's going to be an Alpine, but which one is it going to be, Toincoin or to Jonas? We will wait and see here in just a moment. But looking a little bit cloudy. Is it actually starting to rain?
Yeah, it's wet. Yeah, it's raining. It's wet. Don't know if it's actually raining for sure, which it is. Yeah, it's raining. Only lightly.
Well, Toincoin, he is going out there on the intermediate tires. Yeast is the only driver so far with a dry tire selected, and he has not even went out on the racetrack. So if he's going to be doing that on the dry tires, he probably needs to start thinking about getting out there now. But I'd say that even by this point, the track's just a bit too damp for the dry tire to really be viable. So we're going to be seeing an intermediate qualifying session today.
Yeah, we are. I don't think Yeast has even set it up. I don't think Yeast would go out on the softs in these conditions. Let's be honest, it's far too dangerous. The inters are pretty much the mandatory tire at this stage, so it only makes sense just to go out on inters, especially if it happens to be a dry race as well.
So now turning our attention to the point standings, you see Toincoin go through the Ascari chicane. It is Train Game Wow at the top spot with 144 points to X Gamer's 115. Of course, Train Game Wow and X Gamer, neither of those drivers scoring a podium last week in Great Britain, but Tom Goproff, who was moved up to third in the standings, was able to score a second place finish and the fastest lap. Of course, Jonas had an unfortunate DNF, so he has been deregulated, I guess you could say, to fourth place with 103 points to Tom Goproff's 105, so a very close battle there, while Train Game Wow is well over one race ahead in the point standings at the top spot. Of course, P5 is still Son of Fubar, Odd Ivan, Morris, Langfeld, Frederick, and Calvin, your top 10. And there's your points leader, Train Game Wow, in the Alfa Romeo. Of course, looks like Cinna Martins, he is going to be trying to go out on the soft tires. We're going to watch him because I'm
he's
very
on medium.
curious.
What? He is? Nah. Probably a D-pad malfunction, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, you're right. He is on softs.
He's giving it a go. I'm very curious to see how it works for him. So far, he seems to at least have some grip, but those cars ahead of him on the intermediate tires definitely left him in a hurry. So I'd say, yeah, the more he slides, the more I'd say that he's going to be coming in and changing those tires to the intermediates today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So meanwhile, we got Rogue Smithy on the lap in the Ferrari as he approaches the Ascari chicane.
Hopefully, he doesn't bin it.
Well, Rogue Smithy, he was able to score his first points of the season and finish his first race in Great Britain. So good job to Rogue Smithy there. I know that it's been a rough season, but so far there is a small silver lining that he can hang his head high and know that he's accomplished something so far, and hopefully use that to carry a little bit of confidence into the remaining races.
Yeah, he does. He goes into P3 with 130.3. His kart boy goes fastest.
So kart boy a reserve today, as well
Senna's going
as
slowly.
What's happening?
Senna's going slowly before Parabolica. He might have spun it, but yeah, definitely. I think he knows he's made the wrong choice, so he's obviously gonna pit in.
So that's Tom Goproff that he was letting by going through Parabolica, while Freaky Skills, Tom Goproff's teammate for today, he is currently in the first sector, just now entering the second sector, purple in the first sector that time around. So we'll see if Freaky Skills can put his skills to the test and put it on the pole position in what is a very rainy qualifying session in Monza.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, here comes D-Mac coming across the line to set 129.1.
So very close.
He was last night's winner in GP3. Sorry, Tim.
Oh, no, you're fine, Tom, but D-Mac getting very close to Carboy there, 128.7 to 129.127.
Yeah, mate, definitely. I think if he were to land a full-time driver, I could definitely see him holding his own in GP2. Like, put him in GP3 and he would probably be winning races consistently week in, week out. But move him up to GP2, I can definitely see him holding his own in that field. Jonas goes second fastest for 128.6. You've thousands ahead behind Cartboy in second in provisional pole.
So I'm still watching Senna Martins, who has just exited the Ascari chicane and has invalidated his lap, and I'm still questioning why he's out there on the soft tire. I'm honestly rather intrigued, just trying to figure out what he's gaining from this. Because, you know,
it's still raining.
Exactly, and the rain is picking up. It's not going to get any drier, and he's just staying out there making laps on the soft tire.
Why? That's what I want to know. But Langfeld goes up into P5. Above his teammate as well.
So Martin, another one of our reserves today, he is on an out lap at the moment. Of course, he is in the Williams today. Martin, normally a GP3 driver, but good to see him today to help bring us closer to a full field. Going to be 18 drivers racing with us today, so just 2 drivers shy of a full field for GP2, and hey, that is okay with me. 18 drivers just going to mean 18 different opportunities for a winner.
Definitely, mate. DeJonis goes into provisional pole.
So I'm wondering though, Tom, we have not gotten any update from our weather crew, so we don't know if it's going to be a dry race or a wet race or what have you. But I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's going to be a dry race and that it's just going to be a wet qualifying session. So these drivers are just out there making laps, trying to get whatever they can out of it, because they know ultimately that they're going to have to go back to their dry setup.
You make a good point there. I mean, I'm surprised no one has even updated on this yet. But I think the only silver lining, if we don't find out in quali, we'll know in the race for sure.
Well, we'll find out in just over 10.5 minutes time, as it's just now 10 minutes 15 seconds remaining in the qualifying session as we watch Martin on his first flying lap. So far, only 8 drivers have set a lap, the fastest being to Jonas with a 128.535.
Yeah, Martin got a little bit twitchy there. I was on board with him just now as he heads into the end of Sector 1. Sector 28.6. How is he going to navigate his way through the next second chicane? Rather solidly, in fact, but heading into the Lesmos, it's a tricky corner to get right in the wet conditions.
Jonas, the fastest lap again, a 128.332 down the straightaway for Martin, and there's a DRS zone that normally you would be using right now, but because it's raining, there is no DRS. But if it's a dry race, you're going to see a lot of overtaking opportunities going into the Ascari chicane and then out of the Ascari chicane, assuming the curve doesn't clip you, of course, and then into another DRS zone as Martin has invalidated, pushed it a little too wide.
Yeah, he has. Just, I mean, he looked very tidy coming out of Ascari, and then just that 1 inch just was that 1 inch too wide, which can really mess up a very good lap. It probably would have been, because he would have been up into P6 or P5, sorry.
Of course, I mentioned the detection zone there at Parabolica Corner, and that's the detection zone for the DRS straight, right there on the pit straight. So, assuming it's a dry race, we're going to see a lot of overtakes into one as well. But that's the thing. You have to have a good exit out of a Ascari chicane so that you can be close enough to your competitor at that detection zone to get a run on him into turn number 1. And as we've seen, Ascari chicane can really catch a driver out. It's easy to touch that curb, and if you do, it's pretty much the curb of death, to where you're going to be spinning and no one's having a good time after that. So it's pretty much a make or break section of this racetrack.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I was saying this on stream last night, but we're in GP3 comps, but the thing is with Parabolica, I actually think it's the most deceptive corner of the entire track, because it looks easy, but it's very tricky to get right. Very tricky. Like, you've got to have that right rotation to. It's hard not. I think unless you're on no TC, it's hard not to keep it on track. But at the same time, it's hard to get that good line. Find the perfect line to maximize what could be, whether it be a good lap, a push lap, or whatever.
Personally, I found that some of that green stuff that is right at the exit of the corner, and as we ride on board here with car, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. I found that in dry conditions, that actually has a little bit of grip. Now, whether you can find a racing line through Parabolica that will really help you use that to your advantage, who's to say? But there you actually see car using it a little bit, so there is some grip there around those curves.
Yeah, there is. What time is he going to set? 4. Nice lap from Kara.
Meanwhile, Train Game Wow, your points leader, in 5th, and then his teammate Bossy Gaming in 6th, just behind him. 128 and 129.0 respectively for those two drivers. 11 drivers now with the time on the board, with just over 6.5 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Senna Martins going back out there on the soft tires, and it does look like it has mostly stopped raining. Still a little bit of drizzle here and there, but
yeah.
maybe
it's enabled.
Yes, DRS is enabled, so maybe the soft tires will be viable. In fact, it should be, because Jonas is on softs now.
Yeah, you're right, and also Senna's still on soft as well. Heading towards the end of Sector 1, how's he going to... what time do you think it will set in Sector 1? It will be a 29.2. Navigates his way rather nicely through the that previous second curve as we head into the Lesmos. Keeps it clean through there. All DRS to his advantage now as well.
So I expect Senna to have a really fast time, simply because I think that this is officially going to be our first lap set on the soft tires in the mostly dry conditions that we now see on the racetrack. Now, as you can see, there's still a few damp patches out there, but the DRS was enabled, so that would indicate that it is in fact dry enough for these soft tires. And also, to Jonas, Cartboy, D-Mac, the top 3 are on soft tires too, so if you need any more sign than that, then I can't help you. And Senna Martin's a 130.097, definitely not what we were looking for that time, and certainly not what he was looking for
Jonas
either.
4 temps up.
So looking at to Jonas now, who really needs a good day here. As we mentioned, he has been demoted in the point standings down to 4th after an unfortunate DNF last week in Great Britain. So to Jonas, who was in 3rd, finds himself in 4th, and with Train Game Wow already more than a full race ahead, everybody behind him needs a good race to keep their championship hopes alive, but especially to Jonas, because he in fact led the point standings for a brief time this season, but he has found himself slowly going the wrong direction, and for whatever reason, he just cannot seem to get the consistency that he needs to make a championship run. But the season is not over yet. We are, I think, just just past halfway. So we've got plenty of time for recovery.
That was disgusting. A 125.8. Wow.
125.834 for Jonas, and
Cartboy's 2 seconds. What's he gonna set?
0.057, a 125.057 for Cartboy in the Mercedes, the fastest time so far. And that you're talking about a disgusting time, Tom. How about that?
Yeah. I know.
Oh, and Cartboy just overshoots the chicane big time there.
Ouch. Oh, Tonko's retired in the pits, I believe.
Yeah,
so
he was the first retirement of the session, unfortunately, so not sure what happened with him, but it may have been a pit retirement, as you mentioned, Tom. And let's go and take a look at Bossy Gaming. He's on his outlap now, so in the meantime, we'll go switch to X Gamer in the Ferrari. So X Gamer, your second place driver in the point standings so far, and he, of course, has got a tall ladder to climb to catch Train Game Wow, but maybe today could be his day that he closes that gap.
Oh, he's pitted. X Gamer's pitted.
Not giving us a lap this time. Cartboy into Jonas, they're still on laps technically, but they just set their fast lap, so they'll likely be pulling into the pits. Meanwhile, Bossy Gaming just now going through Parabolica, so he will be starting his final flying lap. As to Jonas, a 124.976 on the board.
Yeah, brilliant lap with Jonas, but Cartboy I think is going to come in. Probably specific, but for a specific reason, I'd probably predict he'd go on the softs for another run. See if he even could get another go for the end.
So meanwhile, Bossy Gaming, this likely will be his final flying lap. I don't see him fancying another lap once he makes it back around. But of course, we'll have to wait and see as he goes through the De La Rosa chicane at the moment. And now the two Lesmo corners starting now. There is Lesmo 1, and then you got a very small straightaway before you get to Lesmo 2. And then, of course, you get a very long DRS straight, which, as we mentioned, is going to have a lot of overtaking opportunities in the race today. Once you get to the end of this straightaway, though, you better hope and pray that you were able to make the move on your competitor, because there is a Scary chicane, and you do not want to clip those curves. You see how Bossy Gaming was really flirting with him and actually did clip him a little bit, but managed to keep the grip in that car, so he did not spin out. Then, of course, he starts guess what? Another long straightaway down to Parabolica. It's almost like Monza. You need a low downforce setup, Tom.
Yeah, you do. Because Monza is basically the festival of high speed as Bossy. Oh my gosh, what a lap. 123.1.
It's almost 2 seconds quicker than to Jonas. Now, I understand that the qualifying times are going to look a little bit different today because we started in the wet.
Punisher's in front of me! I was on board with DMAC as well.
So we're watching to Jonas, but he is not going to be setting a fast lap this time. And in fact, I don't know if he's going to be setting a fast lap at all. So Bossy Gaming, a 123.101 at the moment. Cartboy, he's on an out lap. He's going to be trying to make it back, but I don't think he's going to be able to do so. He's got 30 seconds to make it back to the start-finish line, and he is in the Ascari chicane now. So we'll watch and see if Cartboy is able to race the clock and win against the clock. He's got 22 seconds left, and I think actually he might be able to do it, but it's still going to be very close. And as it ticks down, it is 15 seconds as he enters Parabolica.
He's got enough time. Yep, he's fine.
Cut it right down to the wire, but he has got it with only 5 seconds to spare.
Wow. What a lap by D-Mag, even better by Martin.
So Cartboy is the final driver that will have an opportunity to set a flying lap. We will watch him, and he's already a little bit slow out of the second corner, but I think he's going to be able to continue and be okay. Now, granted,
Mamba goes even faster. Train Game goes up into second. The lap times are coming in thick and fast. Oh my goodness. Oh!
And you know, Tom, now that the track has dried up. It's starting to rubber in a little bit, so it is starting to get a little bit faster. And you got to think, some of these drivers are probably wishing that it had stopped raining, maybe 5 minutes before, or 15 minutes before it did, so that they never had to deal with the rain. That way they could have a nice rubbery track for their final flying lap. And Cartboy, he is purple in the second sector as Kara has went fast.
Maka up at the second. Brilliant lap by Macaulay. As Langfeld, what time is he going to set? P3. This qualifying order is really chopping and changing.
So Cartboy, he was purple in the second sector. Will he be purple in the third? How's it
going
to go
for
the Mercedes? He goes to second, a 120.727.
Martin up into 6th place. What does D-Mac do? Is he going to go even faster? No. Stays in P11.
Yeah, D-Mac, he has invalidated. So what you see is what you're going to get. Just waiting for D-Mac to make it back around. And then we will officially be ready to start our race. 27 laps, if I'm not mistaken, around Monza today. And hopefully it's going to be a dry race, because I got a feeling that with a dry race and 2 DRS zones, we're going to see a fantastic show. Great opportunities for overtaking. Maybe some hurt feelings, but you know what? That's what happens in the world of motorsports.
Yeah, very true, mate. Right.
D-Mac pulls into the pits, and what you see is officially what you're going to get. Kara, Cartboy, and X-Gamer, your top 3. Congratulations on Kara for his pole.
Yeah, very good lap. I think the lap times are coming in real thick and fast. So the question is, though, how will we see a mixed bag on the podium of drivers that you don't normally see up there week in, week out? So I think this race has got serious potential to spring a big surprise.
And of course, it's very possible that we will see that, Tom, because if we take a look at the point standings, Kara has 1 single podium this season, and that came in Canada. And he won that race and got the fastest lap. However, he has not started a race since then until today. But your official starting lineup for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Italian Grand Prix is Kara on the pole in his first race back since his win. Cartboy in second in his debut race today. And then X-Gamer in third. Fourth is Jonas. Yeast in fifth. Sixth is Martin. Langfell in seventh. Eighth is Mamba Train Game Wow in ninth. Freaky Skills in 10th. D-Mac in 11th. Senna in 12th. 13th is Rogue Smithy. 14th is Bossy Gaming. Frederick in 15th. 16th is Toincoin. Morris in 17th, and 18th is Tom GoProf. But yes, Kara, only 1 single podium on the season so far. And of course, you take a look at Cartboy. Well, he is not a GP2 regular, so he does not have any podiums on the season. And then X-Gamer, he's got a handful here and there. He has got 2 wins and 5 podiums, counting those 2 wins. So X-Gamer being up there is a driver that we've pretty much become accustomed to seeing on the podium spots. But those other 2 drivers are a bit outliers that we're going to have to keep our eye on. But it is time now, Tom, for us to get our top 3 predictions as we see a very sunny paddock.
Ooh, top 3. I'm going to go, in no particular order, X-Gamer, Kara and Rob. No, not Kara and Rob, sorry. Kara, sorry. And I'm going to go take a massive gamble. I'm going to go Frederick for that final podium spot.
I'm going to go in any order: X-Gamer, Cartboy, and D-Mac.
Ooh, go on, Tim. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go for a quick pee.
Well, don't be too long, because the clock is starting to run out. We're about to start our formation lap. Of course, I'd say that there's going to be a few drivers that are pretty mad about that. You see, normally we like to let our drivers have enough time to set their strategy, because it does take time to set fuel load and your tire strategies, because believe it or not, the strategy that Jeff offers you is not always the ideal one to go for. But unfortunately, if you ready up on the grid, then the clock starts and you only have a limited amount of time to set your strategy. So what we'd like to do is to tell the drivers to not ready up and wait for an admin to ready up. But for whatever reason, it looked like someone readied up a bit quick today, so a few drivers might be upset, but we have to continue on nonetheless. It's the name of the game is adapt and overcome. So there are your tire choices, and as expected, a bit of a mixed bag of tires. Of course, a lot of drivers were able to go out on the soft compound tires, so no surprise there that the top 10 is in fact running the soft compounds, and then strategic pole back there of D-Mac in 11th with softs as well. Then Cinna Martins on the medium tires, as well as Bossy Gaming, Toin Coin Morris, and Tom GoProp. Those are the 5 drivers on the medium compound tires today. Everybody else starting on the softs. And I imagine it would be a relatively straightforward one-stop strategy, barring any safety cars, of course. So that is soft to mediums or medium softs, depending on which tire you decided to start on. And I am, of course, going to be keeping my eye on those medium tire starters. Of course, as you know, I do love my reversed strategies. So we'll see if Cinna Martins, Bossy Gaming, Toin Coin Morris, Tom GoProp, if any of them can make significant gains with the reverse strategy. They didn't have the best of qualifying, so they got to try something because they don't have the track position to work with, so they might as well try to play the long game with
I'm
it.
back. Yeah, sorry about that.
So did you make it, Tom? Are you good?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, you know what, Tom?
It.
It is just in time because the drivers are finding their appropriate positions on the grid, and we are just about
strategy, by the way.
Ready to go. 18 drivers ready for 27 laps of racing around the historical Monza circuit, and you hear those engines revving. You hear those itchy pedal feet. The drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights, and we are green for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Italian Grand Prix. Cara gets a fantastic start. Cartboy, though, trying to send it onto the inside line. Will he be able to do it, though, as we ride on board with Cartboy? Yes, he does. So it's side by side through turn number 1 and 2. Cartboy with the edge and the momentum. Some contact out of turn number 2. And Cartboy has still got the advantage.
Yeah, good start by Cartboy. Goes up ahead of Cara. Cara is looking to get that lead back.
Cara had a little bit of a look-see before De La Rosa, but could not make the move, so he had to let Cartboy through. Now he's having a little bit of a look through the Lesmo. Cannot do anything.
Oh my goodness. That could have caused a massive accident up ahead. Up ahead because... Oh. Sorry, Sim.
So as we run on board with Jonas here, he's trying to use that slipstream, get close to Cara, but Cara, he has got a lot more speed down the straightaway, and he's got an opportunity to get around Cartboy, and he had another look, but going into Ascari, he had to go back behind Cartboy.
Yeah, he did. I was on board with Jonathan, and I noticed he had a little bit of a tank stopper heading into Ascari, turning in Ascari as Cara goes down the inside.
So Yeast had a bit of an off there just out of the Ascari chicane and likely picked up a warning for that. Finds himself now in P5 and trying to chase down X-Gamer in the Ferrari just ahead of him. Langfeld, though, hot on his heels. Lap 1 completed. Cara, no surprise to anyone, has ran the fastest lap. And now it is a 3-car battle, and as you said, Train Game trying to look into that.
Contact the Yeast and the X-Gamer. Ooh, and I know this is a little bit off topic, but I would like to say that the fact that we've had 5 drivers, like three of the drivers that are outside that top 10, have still decided to go on softs. So something tells me that they're looking to go aggressive for this race.
Will you say that again, Tom?
Sorry. Full sentence or?
Really just the last part. You know, it's completely fine.
Yeah.
I need to adjust my audio here. We're having a little bit of issues hearing you still, but hopefully everyone can hear you on the stream. Nonetheless, we're still watching this battle between Train Game, Langfeld and Yeast as they approach the Ascari chicane. And Langfeld had a moment where he was maybe thinking about getting around Yeast, but not able to do anything with it. Meanwhile, we'll rejoin this battle for the lead.
Train Game got a really good exit out of Ascari. Oh no, there's a Mercedes off. No, there is a Mercedes off, and it's Senna that's gone off. Gone off in Ascari.
So Senna just trying to get the car turned back around, and Kara runs the fastest lap once again. But Cartboy, he has been able to gain massively down the pit straightaway on Kara. He's not going to be close enough to make a move, but he's going to be close enough to at least think about it. We'll give him that much. Through turns 1 and 2, and Cartboy stays close to Kara, but Kara a little bit smoother through that section.
Train game got a little bit, flipped that massive curve coming out of turn one, and just lost so much time to Langfell up ahead, and that's going to leave Martin in a position to catch him eventually. Yeah.
So Train Game Wow, your points leader, finds himself running in the 6th position at the moment, trying to break into that top 5 and get by Langfell. And of course, as you said, Tom, just behind him, Martin is battling with D-Mac, who has made his way up from 11th all the way to 8th position. So a couple of spots gained there since the start. It's lap 3 of 27. Just behind him, Eric's Mamba and Freaky Skills. So Freaky Skills back there in P10, the final points paying position of the day. And it's still Kara, Cartboy, and Jonas, your top 3, with X Gamer and Langfell, your top 5. And maybe starting to see a couple of moves here in just a moment as Martin is slowly creeping up on Train Game Wow and that Alfa Romeo. Now, a couple weeks ago, if you remember, Tom, if you watched the race when we were at the Red Bull ring, Martin and Bossy Gaming, Train Game's teammate, actually had a bit of an issue going into turn number 1, whereas, and we're actually under safety car.
Why? Oh, Senna's out! Yeah, that's why. Senna's crashed out in a Scari. Ooh, that's a bad sight.
Well, our first safety car of the day comes out on lap 4 of 27. So Kara, Cartboy, Jonas, X Gamer, Langfell, still your top 5, and pretty much it is, the top 10 has remained unchanged. So it's pretty much just what you see is what you get. Now we get 3 laps of riding behind the safety car. Now, Tom, with you being a more experienced driver than I am, I'm going to ask you, from a driver's perspective, when the safety car comes out this early, what's going through your mind, and are you going to make a pit stop?
I think if you've used, like, say if you started you started in the top 10 on softs, and you went for more than 1 lap on the tyre, you set your fastest lap in, I'd recommend pitting in, because I think you could try a 2-stop, soft, medium, soft, but I think hards, although they're pretty crap around here, pardon my French, they are doable to some extent, but you just have to be careful pushing them too hard too soon. Not to push them too hard too soon, but I'm thinking, Cartboy's on mediums yet, as I predicted. I don't know, I'm not entirely certain the mediums can go all the way to the end from here, but they do last around here quite well.
Car goes to the medium tire as well, and you know, Tom, that's actually a good point that you bring up, and if you think about it, we're probably going to be going back green about lap 8. So if we go back green on lap 8, that will give approximately 20 laps worth of racing on these medium tires. So these first few laps are just going to be safety car laps, so it's obviously not going to wear down the medium tires as much as a race lap would. So this safety car will give these medium tire runners an advantage and will maybe help them reach the end of the race. Granted, 20 laps is still a lot to go, but if we don't see another safety car, that could be a viable option that could win a driver a race if they're able to manage their tires well. But if a safety car comes out, then that strategy has just been thrown out the window.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't paying too much attention, but you might be right on that one. But I'd argue, I still think Kara is still in a very strong position as he's on fresh mediums. But Tom Goproff, I think you could argue, could pretty much stay out from there, but
Jonas, Langfell, and Mamba, your top 3 after the pit stops. Of course, Tom Goproff and Kara, your top 5, with Cartboy, X Gamer, Train Game Wow, Martin, and D-Mac, your top 10. It's lap 5 of 27. And it's still early stages of the race, and it's the first safety car of the day. And I'd say that for a lot of these drivers now, they're hoping that it's going to be the only safety car of the day. But to Jonas Langfell Mamba, I don't know, maybe they want another one later on.
You might be onto that actually, because again, the mediums will last you, but say as if we were about on lap 16, 17, late. If you're on, say, I think any later than lap 18 would be a good time. Lap 18 safety car, or lap 18 to 21, one of the two, would be a good time to pit in and just slap on the softs and go all the way to the end and just, yeah. Then you'd be good as gold.
So Tom, you were mentioning before the race that today could be one of those days that we see a bit of a mixed bag on the podium and drivers that we're not accustomed to seeing up there. Now, to Jonas, obviously we've seen him up there, but
Langfell got 5 seconds worth of penalties with contact from a train game.
Now, that penalty is something that could get removed after the race. However, what's going to bite X-Gamer is if he has to pit again, he will have to serve that time penalty, and once that happens, then the stewards have no power to remove that time penalty. So what likely happened was that there was a small amount of contact between X-Gamer and Train Game Wow, but the algorithm registered it as severe contact. So it gave X-Gamer the 5-second time penalty because for whatever reason the algorithm deemed him at fault, regardless of whether or not he was and whether or not it was a severe collision. And we've seen it happen again with Rogue Smithy and TNR Frederick. So what happens in these situations is a driver, if they feel that the penalty was unfairly awarded to them, they will bring it up to the stewards after the race, and then the stewards will review footage and review the results, and then they will make adjustments as appropriate and as needed to the race standings. However, if you pit, the game will automatically make you serve that 5-second time penalty, thus giving you no chance to lose that time penalty. And X-Gamer is going into the pits now, and he gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Is this going to be a retirement, or was that just really poor timing?
I'd really hope not, because I know you've got that 5-second penalty to serve, which is going to cost you later on in the race. But Cara having a massive tank snapper in front of Cartboy, and Train Game is starting to get a little bit of a run on the outside, heading into Curva Grande.
Train Game using that momentum on the outside, but cannot do anything with it by the time they get to De La Rosa. So Train Game Wow going to have to stay behind Cartboy in P7, but he's trying to make a move on his inside through the first Lesmo, and it's a side-by-side battle, and Cartboy goes a touch wide. That gives the opportunity to Train Game Wow to get by him, so move him up into 6th place on your scorecards. Train Game Wow, he is moving ahead. To Jonas and Langfell, still battling for that top spot, though. To Jonas in the Alpine, Langfell in that Aston Martin. There you see, from Langfell's perspective, to Jonas just ahead of him.
Yeah, you're right. Mamba is involved in that fight now as well. I think he started, let me take a look at the yeah, he started, I believe, in P8. And he's moved up 5 places, and the biggest gainer from this race is Tom Goproff in 4th. 14 places gained.
And here are your position changes, and just as Tom said, Tom Goproff, coincidence, making 14 positions up, as he said. And of course, the biggest loser, 14 positions, X-Gamer, down in the 17th position. Of course, he did just make a pit stop to serve a 5-second time penalty, and as a result, picked up another 5-second time penalty. So really bad luck and not the best of races for X-Gamer thus far, but it's not where you start, it's not even where you run, it's just where you finish, and at least he's got plenty of time to recover. Granted, that's a huge recovery that is going to be required from him. Meanwhile, Tom Goproff finds himself into the 3rd position. Cara in 4th, Eric's Mamba down to 5th now. Train Game Wow, he's maybe trying to think about getting around Mamba, but he's going to have to catch him first, and Mamba is 0.7 of a second ahead of him, but we should be getting DRS once they cross the line this time. So assuming that holds true, then Train Game Wow might just have an opportunity on Mamba. 7 laps on those soft tires, I'd say they're starting to show their age. While 2 laps on the medium tires for Train Game Wow, they still have a lot of life left ahead of them. Meanwhile, it's a side-by-side battle in the Parabolica between Tom Goproff and Kara. Kara gets the move done.
Smithy and
It's
Martin
a P3.
as well. DRS has been enabled. And so far... Tom Goproff has got... Yeah, he's gone past Kara for P3. Using that slipstream, even with no DRS, gets the move done as well.
And Tom Goproff, he just had to have a massive run out of Parabolica to be able to make that move stick, and he did it with relative ease. He made it look easy, and that is not an easy move to pull off, I assure you. And I'd say that Kara, he's wanting to maybe return the favor and find a way back by that McLaren. Kara running so well today, and as we mentioned, he has not even started a race since Canada, which he won with the fastest lap. So Kara getting a podium today in his first race back would be great. He's mathematically out of the championship battle. At this point, he's just racing to race, and he's racing for wins, and he's racing for podiums. So a podium in his return would be a lot of confidence when he needs it most.
Kara going very wide. Probably very wide for a terrible entry for Ascari, actually.
He didn't lose as much time as I expected him to.
No, he made up for it for that exit, but it's just the entry just cost him quite a little bit of time. Not much, but there's Tom Goproff and Mamba and D-Mac, Cartboy, and D-Mac go side by side.
Kara gonna maybe have a look on Tom Goproff in turn number 1, but they both have DRS. But Kara, he was there, and it's a side-by-side battle through turns 1 and 2. But Tom Goproff with the preferred line will clear Kara out of turn number 2 at least for now.
By Tom Goproff. Ooh, contact between Kara and Tom Goproff. Kara is looking down the
contact.
Contact!
Tom Goproff lets off. Tom Goproff literally lets off to avoid crashing. Kara goes.
That could have been nasty. That could have been nasty because the way they were wobbling. Oh my goodness. That could have been a big blow for Kara.
You say it could have been nasty. It was nasty, Tom. It was nasty,
right.
And somehow they did not wreck. I don't know how. I don't even know who to really put at fault there, because both drivers were sort of coming into one another. So, Tom Goproff kind of drifted to the left a little bit, but Kara definitely drifted to the right a little bit too. So, just seems to me like it was 2 drivers racing for the same bit of real estate. And are we going to see a repeat between Kara and Langfell now, as Kara was practically pushing him into Parabolica? I mean, I know that we just had the Talladega race, for the NASCAR Cup Series a few days ago, but it doesn't mean that Kara has to race like that.
Make a good point there, as Kara is going for it down the inside of Langfell. Gets the move done. Langfell looking for that switchback. Doesn't quite get enough of a run, but Rogue Smithy gets 3 seconds. That's got to put him out of the points as well.
Ooh. So Langfell now starting to lose a bit of ground to Kara, and he's trying to keep the gap relatively consistent, but Langfell's got 10 laps on those soft tires. Kara's got 5 laps on the medium tires. So this is about the time to where I'd say that those medium tires are reaching their optimal temperature. So Kara's car is probably just feeling fantastic, and it might still continue to get better for at least a handful more laps here. The question is, will he be able to ride that out long enough to catch to Jonas, who was 2 seconds ahead?
Langfell, that was a brilliant save.
So meanwhile, the battle for third heating up. Langfell and Tom Goproff duking it out a little bit, and as you saw, Langfell having a bit of a moment there just out of the Ascari chicane, but was able to hang on to it. Tom Goproff just looking for any opportunity to capitalize and get by Langfell. Of course, Tom Goproff is still technically in the championship fight, so he needs every single point that he can muster.
Point now.
Of course, I say technically, he's P3, I mean, he's third. I don't need to sell him short. It's just the fact that going into this race, Train Game Wow has
there's a
144
McLaren
points.
off. Quite a few cars off, actually. No, there weren't. But there wasn't. Toincoin's in the pits. He's gone into the pits, but Prix lost so many places. I don't even know what happened, but yeah, he definitely dropped down the order.
So lap 12 of 27 here, approaching that halfway mark here. Just a handful of laps to Jonas, Cara, Langfeld, your top three, to Tom Goproff and Train Game Wow, your top five. And Tom Goproff moving into third now, right before they reach the Ascari chicane. So the top three has been shuffled around a bit, with Tom Goproff getting around Langfeld for third. Cara still trailing to Jonas, but in just one lap, he has gained almost 2 seconds on the Alpine driver. So if that does not show you the massive difference between old softs and semi-old medium tires, then I don't know what does. So Jonas goes into the pits.
Slapper from Tom Goproff as Jonas comes in. Langfeld stays out. Bit of a surprise there, so he's probably going to have to go on mediums for the end.
Not sure why Langfeld's staying out either. I mean, granted, he is still relatively close to Tom Goproff, but you've got to think that if he just continues to lose throughout the remainder of this lap, then he's going to have to pit. Otherwise, you know, staying out any longer is just going to serve to his detriment.
Yeah, you have a good point on that. That drops to Jonas down into P12. And that also, in the event of that, promotes Cara into the race lead as well.
So this is so far the best thing for Cara. He was able to track down the Alpine up to Jonas pretty much on pure pace. To Jonas pulled into the pits, I think, right before Cara passed him, but Cara was going to get by him anyway. So now Cara finds himself in first, 2.3 seconds ahead, with 7 laps on his medium tires. Now, you and I have theorized that these medium tires could go to the end of the race, and that might be what Cara is trying to do. Now, if you take a look, Tom Goproff and Langfeld, both of those drivers have 12 laps on their sets of tires. Langfeld likely will be pitting this time. Tom Goproff, he can go a little bit longer, but he will eventually have to pit, as you do see Langfeld now diving down into the pit lane. So once Tom Goproff pits, then Train Game Wow will inherit that second place, and he is in the same tire window as Cara, but judging by my math, in fact, I'm not even going to do math because I cannot be trusted with math. We'll just use the tools that we have available. Train Game Wow is 4.1 seconds behind Cara, so that is a nice, healthy gap, and that's important because Cara is going to have to manage his tires if he is going to try to make these last the rest of the race.
Train Game hopping over the curb, nearly goes off onto the gravel, nearly lost it. Just went on board with him now.
Well, Train Game
puts Martin in a position as well.
And not only that, it made Cara's job a little bit more easier. And you know, I was just talking about how Cara really needs to save his tires. That way he can make sure that he's got enough for the end of the race. But Train Game Wow having that bit of an incident just puts him a little bit further back behind Cara. So 5.7 seconds now. It was about 4.1. So a second and a half more or less Train Game lost.
Sorry. Rogue Smithy's gaining on Yeast for that P7 spot. Down the inside he goes. Is he going to make it stick? Yeah, he does. Gets the move done. Yeast going to go for a cutback move. No, he doesn't.
I think Yeast is going to be able to have the DRS here, though. Which driver was ahead at the detection zone? I actually think that Rogue Smithy got the DRS.
He does. Yeah, he did. Down the inside goes Yeast. Gets the move done. Brilliant move. Get that P7 back.
So even without DRS, Yeast was able to make the move into turn number 1. So Rogue Smithy trying to go back on the offensive here and looking to the outside, but not able to do anything with it. Now he's going to the outside of De La Rosa. Oh, and there's contact between the two drivers. And Rogue Smithy is now off the track. Yeast is able to survive, and he is okay, but Rogue Smithy, he is dropped back a lot. Is there wing damage? Not that I can tell.
No, but he is struggling, though. That's probably going to allow Bossy to close in. He still has a DRS, but he's nowhere near enough to get an overtake done.
And, you know, I got to say, that was a fair move that Rogue Smithy was attempting. He went to the outside of Yeast. Yeast left it open. And, you know, Yeast was trying to close that gap back. But by that time, Smithy was already there. And they just made a little bit of contact, and it could have been a lot worse than it was. So, you know, hats off to both of those drivers for keeping their cool and just hanging on to those cars when it mattered most.
Yeah, you're right. Now, Martin still on the back of Train Game. When do you think Martin's going to get a move? Going to have enough to get a move done? Mind you, they're both on the same tyre. Train Game evidently biding his time because he has so much more battery than Martin does.
Well, it seems that to have the best chance at your competitor while using DRS, you need to be approximately 3 to 4 tenths behind them at maximum to really get the most out of that DRS run. So Martin needs to close that gap a little bit to Train Game, but with this very long straightaway that we're at now, that could give him the opportunity that he's looking for. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to make a move before they get to Ascari chicane, and in fact, the answer is playing his day, he definitely won't be able to. But he was able to at least gain on Train Game a touch down that straightaway. Not as much as he really needs
down
to.
The inside of Maka and the into Ascari, side by side. Keep it clean, boys. Oh, Mama had to go off track. I mean, Yeast had to go off track, sorry, and that's going to allow Bossy to get into the thick of it and takes two places in one straight.
Bossy Gaming definitely not messing around. Yeast and Rogue Smithy's loss is Bossy's gain. He moves from 9th to 7th in one straightaway.
In hindsight, that is not going to help him because both of them have got DRS.
Yeast and Rogue Smithy go back ahead of Bossy Gaming now. Rogue Smithy goes for the lunge on the
Side by
inside.
side.
Oh, and makes contact with Yeast, but they both hang on to it so far.
Oh, no,
and Rogue Smithy and Yeast, both of them go off.
Ooh.
My goodness, both of these drivers, they're not wanting to give up an inch.
No, they're not.
But
I mean, Rogue Smithy's on penalties. So
I think someone needs to explain to them, though, that two cars cannot physically fit in the same place.
Rogue Smithy's, yeah,
wow.
Rogue Smithy's struggling. He's off.
So what led to that? Could it just be that his tires are gone now?
Could be, yeah. Yeah, I think so. But question is, though, when will everyone else pit? I mean, those that are on the aging mediums are going to pit.
So meanwhile, we're riding on board with D-Mac in the Alpha Tower. He's found himself in the 5th position, trying to give chase to Martin in the Williams just ahead of him. The problem that we're having here is we're stuck in a little bit of a DRS train, but Tom Goproff has pitted after 17 laps on those medium tires. So it's now Kara, Train Game Wow, and Martin, your top three, with D-Mac and Bossy Gaming to eventually inherit that top 5 position. So Tom Goproff looks like he's going to be rejoining this race in about the 8th position. Will he be able to beat Rogue Smithy out, though? No, Rogue Smithy has pitted as well. So it's going to be the 8th position for Tom Goproff, just behind to Jonas and ahead of TNR Langfell, who almost overtakes him, but not quite, as they go into turn number 1.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now,
so Yeast getting a little bit closer to Bossy Gaming now. Of course, Yeast not having to deal with Rogue Smithy. He can now focus on just one car instead of 2.
Yeah, you have a good point. Now, pardon me. Right.
So let's see what kind of a run
on the back of Bossy.
Yeah. Let's see what kind of a run Yeast is going to get on Bossy down the straightaway here as they enter Ascari. He's approximately 0.4 of a second behind. That's about where he needs to be. But look at Bossy, though. You could see that red light flashing. He was definitely using every bit of his ERS down that straightaway to stay ahead of Yeast. So we're seeing, one thing I'm noticing, at least in my opinion, is that the ERS seems a bit more effective around Monza than it does in maybe a few other places.
Yeah, you're right. It's so effective. Like, if you use so much of it, like, I mean, you have to be careful how you use, because there aren't that many corners around this track, so high speed, but you have to be really pragmatic with how you use your battery, because when it gets to a stage crucial stage of a race and you've got so many cars swarming behind you and you're on low battery, then you'd be in trouble.
So meanwhile, D-Mac has made his way by Martin for that third position. So it is now Kara, Train Game, and D-Mac your top three, with Martin and Yeast your top five. And Bossy Gaming still trying to give chase to that Red Bull of Yeast. Of course, it's Jones and Tom Goproff behind them. Tom Goproff, the first driver in the field on the soft compound tires, not really making the massive gains that maybe you would expect on a fresh set of soft tires, but he is slowly eating away at the gap between Jonas, brought it down to 1.2 seconds as Bossy Gaming
was looking down the inside of Yeast.
He was so close. You got to think if he had maybe another 100 feet of straightaway, he could have got the move done.
Yeah, you're right. Like, if he had not went for it, that might have ended in tears, you know.
Oh, it definitely would have ended in tears, because realistically, Yeast would not have had an opportunity to react to the lunge. So Bossy Gaming not going for that move at that moment was the best thing for him to do. But it's looking like he's saying enough is enough and that his tires are done. So Bossy Gaming going to be pitting anyway as Tom Goproff now runs the fastest lap of the session of 121.399. Now, the fact that Bossy Gaming pitted, that is big, because Kara and Train Game Wow and D-Mac, as well as Martin, actually, in fact, the entire top five are on the exact same tire life as each other. So the entire top five have 14 laps on their medium tires. Bossy had 15 on his tires. So my question is, are any of these five drivers going to make a pit stop here soon? We theorize that these medium tires could last to the end, but it's a big gamble, and it requires this race to go green until the end. Now, it's lap 20 and 27. Here soon, we're going to reach a point to where it's not possible to get a safety car simply because the game won't allow it. So when we reach that point, then obviously we can confirm that it will be going green. What we can't confirm is if staying on the medium tires that long was the correct option. Granted, it looks like for now that it was at least the correct option for Kara, if not for anyone else.
Yeah, you might be onto something saying that, but X-Gamer's gone in a Ascari. Yeah,
and
I knew it.
Safety car.
But, in my opinion, has possibly, and I mean potentially, has won Kara this race.
I don't think it's one car of this race, though, Tom. Honestly, I think that if it had stayed green, Kara had a better chance of winning than he does now. Now, granted, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's got any less of a chance of winning. Kara is fast, and there's no way you're getting around that. Kara is just fast today. It's how it is. But he will have to make a pit stop. And I'm assuming that the entire top four are going to be making pit stops. It is a no-brainer at this point. Kara should retain the lead. The only kicker is he's going to have to get a good start. And he's going to have to make sure that he keeps Train Game, D-Mac, Martin, Tom Goproff, whoever may be behind him after that start.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. But the thing is, can mediums on that are 15 lap old mediums can go all the way to the end from here? Because, I mean, like I said, they do last, but the problem is, I'm not entirely sure if they can go beyond 20 laps.
Well, we don't have to find out. Thankfully for the driver's sake, because the entire top four has pitted. And D-Mac with a 5-second time penalty. Severe collision with Train Game Wow. Now, D-Mac actually might have got very lucky because he might not have to serve that time penalty this time.
Goproff is pitted. What?
Now, that doesn't make sense to me. Why he would pit,
no.
I'm not sure, because he only had 2 laps on his tires.
No. Yeah, exactly. Like, that does not make any sense at all.
Unless he had enough of a gap to Cartboy, which we're about to find out, and it actually does look like he did have enough of a gap to Cartboy, to where this move might be justified. Okay, so he does lose 1 position to Yeast.
He's on a 3-second penalty, I think. Continue.
I'm actually watching the battle between Bossy and Tom Goproff. I think Tom Goproff might have got him, but No. Okay, so Tom Goproff lost 2 positions, so I don't believe that pit stop really was justified. I see what he's going for there. You know, trying to get as fresh tires as possible for this little shootout to the end and trying to manage that gap behind him. So I saw what he was going for. I know what he was thinking, but it didn't work for him. He's lost 2 positions. And one thing that we're seeing around Monza is you really do need the track position.
Yeah, you have a good point on that. Question is he going? Will it be enough for him to get that podium spot? Because he's down in P7. I mean, mind you, actually, I'm gonna take a look at that race director for you. Hara's got 2 warnings. Train game, only 1 warning. DMAC, obviously that 5-second penalty, but taking that away, he's got 2 warnings to his name. Martin, nothing. Very consistent from him. Yeast, 5 seconds. For something I think that might get removed in the stewards. Bossy has 2 warnings and no penalties. On GoPro, just 1 warning. Jonas, 2 warnings. Toinkoi, 2 warnings. And Langfell, 2 warnings. Mambo only 1 warning. Freaky Skills only has 2 warnings to his name. Morris, 2 warnings. Cartboy, 2 warnings. I know I'm going down the whole field here, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
Oh, no, go ahead. We need information, Tom.
Rogue Smithy, a warning, 2 penalties. Quite a few warnings, but yeah, quite a lot. X-Gamer's got 2 penalties, obviously retired from the race, so yeah. Well.
So just taking a look at the chat now, I know that we've been neglecting you guys a little bit, and we apologize for that, but the race has been fairly interesting up to this point, which, we find ourselves under what will likely be our final safety car of the night, lap 23 of 27 here. And let's see, Rob said he went for undercut, but then didn't. That's weird. He could be up higher. I guess I've not been following along. Not exactly sure who we're talking about there. And then, let's see, Yeezus doesn't really understand what Smithy was going for there, and he was wanting us to watch Easton Smithy. Well, we kind of found what Smithy was doing to be a bit questionable as well, just simply because he was already on 11-lap-old tires, but it was a great battle. So I think that from the bottom of my heart for having it, because I love watching great battles like that.
Yeah, it's now. Is Kara going to take them to the line, or is he going to go early?
Honestly, I don't think it matters when Kara goes, because he is so fast today that I think he's got this in the bag. It is pretty much Kara's race to lose, but he does have Tren Game Wow, our current points leader, hot on his heels. But Kara, he makes the move, and he goes, and he gets a decent jump on Tren Game Wow. Lap 23 of 27, going to turn into lap 24 of 27. It's the final stage of the race. Kara, Tren Game Wow, DMAC, your top 3 as they race down into turn number 1. DMAC gaining significantly on Tren Game Wow and that Alfa Romeo. The AlphaTauri looking strong so far around their home Grand Prix. The Williams of Kara, though, he still leads by 9/10 of a second, almost a full second. Now he is a full second, and that is crucial. DRS at this rate will be active on the final lap, but Tren Game Wow will not be able to take advantage of it if he remains this far behind Kara, and that is the most important thing for Kara to do if he's going to win this race today. DMAC, meanwhile, he is a reserve today. He won GP3, and now he finds himself fighting for a podium in the GP2 spot and fighting with our current points leader of Tren Game Wow. Now, Tren Game Wow, he's got 6 laps on those soft tires, so DMAC is a little bit faster. He has got an advantage in his favor, but if we look at the time penalties, that is also something that's important. DMAC might get that time penalty removed. He got that time penalty due to his collision, I do believe.
Yeah, he might be. DMAC's got the run.
But D-Mac going underneath of Train Game Wow as they enter Parabolica, and he clears them before they get there. Move D-Mac up in a second. Train Game Wow down to third. Martin in fourth, and fifth is Yeast. So Martin now trying to make his way around Train Game Wow in that Alfa Romeo. And we got a big line of cars with D-Mac leading this train. Car is nowhere to be seen, 2.5 seconds ahead of D-Mac, who is trying to break the slipstream off of Train Game Wow. It's lap 25 of 27.
He's looking around the outside as well. It's all very close in that upper midfield and outside of the podium, fight for the podium spots.
On board with P6 of Bossy Gaming as he's got a front row seat of Yeast and Martin side-by-side battles. They head into De La Rosa, and it's contact between the Williams and the Red Bull, and contact again out of De La Rosa, and this time Bossy Gaming is going to be able to take advantage and get around Martin with relative ease. Yeast was able to get around Martin as well, so Martin loses 2 spots in one chicane.
Big blow for Martin there, yeah. Two into one into that previous corner. In my opinion, it's always going to be a big risk. Very big risk.
Train Game Wow trying to defend the third position now from Eric Yeast. Now, Eric Yeast also has a 5-second time penalty. That is something that might also be removed after this race concludes. Of course, that is up to Steward's decision, so keep posted to our social medias for any updates on that. But Train Game Wow runs in third at the moment, and this would be a decent points haul for him, who already finds himself over one race ahead in the point standings. Going into the day, he has 144 points, and definitely looking to increase that total if all continues as it is. But Eric Yeast trying to make a move around Train Game Wow. Really be able to get the move done. It's a side-by-side battle between the Alfa Romeo and the Red Bull. Boys. Train Game Wow with that inside line, really using it to his advantage. You can get some momentum off of the outside line, but Train Game Wow, he found the inside grip that he needed when he needed it. Lap 26 of 27, just 2 laps to go. You're watching the battle for third on your screen at the moment. D-Mac is 1.8 seconds behind your leader of Kara. We will rejoin the battle for the lead here in just a moment. But right now, Train Game Wow is leading a big pack of cars into the Ascari chicane, and we'll ride on board with Yeast, who is making a move on Train Game Wow and gets into third.
Good move by Train Game. Bossy 3 seconds.
Not what Bossy needed. He did not have a time penalty, I don't believe, before that. Now he does. There's your update on the time penalty. 3 seconds for Bossy Gaming, and it's not what he wanted to see. So Bossy Gaming will not be walking away with the top 5 today. Meanwhile, Kara's just crossed the line. It's lap 27 of 27, the final lap.
1 more to go. Now, is Training going to have enough to go back at Maka? Looking, no, nowhere near close enough.
To Jonas and Martin, they're having a bit of a battle. Martin, something going wrong with his car. He is dropping fast. He has already dropped 3 spots since this restart.
Yeah, he has. Now, question is, will Tom GoProp have enough to get a move on Martin? He's low on Erz, by the way.
Oh, and a little bit of a wiggle from Train Game Wow. That might hurt his chances to get back by Yeast. However, Yeast, with that time penalty, will at least see Train Game Wow overtake him initially. Granted, like we said, that time penalty could be removed after the conclusion of this race. So if Train Game Wow wants to ensure that he gets a podium, he's going to have to make quick work of Yeast and this DRS zone. It's going to be his final opportunity more than likely, and he did not get it done. So unless he can get a good run out of the Ascari chicane, then Train Game Wow might not be getting a podium today. But here you see Kara entering Parabolica.
Oh no! Morrison's gone! Big accident at the back.
Meanwhile, Kara exits Parabolica, and he will celebrate his win in the Italian Grand Prix. He has not raced since Canada, where he won as well. Now Kara is your winner in Italy. Train Game Wow is
Martin second.
Martin's promoted to second. Tom GoProp to third. That is because of time penalties. The question is, though, is which time penalties will stand and which will not?
That's a good question. I think Train Game might have gotten 3 seconds at the end of the race, but wow. Oh, wow. That was a race.
So
Tom GoProp getting the drive of the day, and I'd say deservedly so.
And hopefully Kara will be able to join us so that we can talk to him. He definitely was the dominant driver today. And even though he didn't lead every single lap, he was fast, and that you cannot deny. Not sure if the other 2 podium positions are official or not. Do remember that there were a few drivers who had time penalties that might get removed. So, for the official results later on this week, keep an eye on our social media channels. But regardless, it is official that Kara is your winner. The remainder of the results will be unofficial, but your results as it stands at the moment is Kara in first, with Martin in second, Tom Goproff in third, Train Game Wow in fourth, D-Mac in fifth, Langfell in sixth, seventh is Bossy Gaming, to Jonas in eighth, ninth is Yeast, Freaky Skills in 10th, Heartboy in 11th, Toin Coin in 12th, 13th is Morris, Rogue Smithy in 14th, 15th is Mamba, Frederick in 16th, 17th X Gamer, and Cinna Martins in the 18th position. We will talk to our top 3 finishers if they decide to join. Hopefully Kara will. I really do want to hear from him, just to see if we can pick his brain a little bit and figure out just what got him hooked up around Monza.
It's a good one, but yeah. Very close race. Possibly. I think possibly one of the best races I've seen all season. Well, very dramatic. I mean, people were going for it, but it was that close.
GP2 is known for its very tight battles, and the competition is incredibly close in this division as well. Kara, though, today just absolutely, being a storm out there and winning the race by a fairly significant margin. Almost wondering if maybe Kara is a little bit too fast for GP2 and some of these drivers. But it's starting to look like we're not going to have any drivers join our party, so I guess we will not have top 3 interviews for today. But Tom, you said that you enjoyed the race. Tell us, in any highlights, or is it just a whole deal for you?
Just the whole deal. Like, so much was going on. I think that late safety car, I think that definitely threw a huge curveball. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit surprised that Tom Goproff went into the pits. It's despite the fact that his tyres aren't, even though they're 3 laps old, he might be might have been at a slight disadvantage for tyre wear, but fair play to him. It definitely paid off.
And with
still a good race for him as well.
Oh, definitely a good race. And with that is all the time that we have. But thank you to everyone who watched. Thanks to all the drivers that raced with us. And congratulations to our top 3 finishers. And until next time, good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. Have fun, and goodbye.